This is a matter of law, not a matter of politics. The principle is straightforward. The government will pay Mr. Dingwall only that which is legally owed him and nothing more.
The law and the facts here. This government, in fact, we will recall, didn't give a severance to Alfonso Galliano, but neither did he keep his mouth shut. And that's really the issue here. They're negotiating a $500,000 payoff for Mr. Dingwall after he left his job voluntarily. Will the government simply admit the real reason for this severance package is this hush money for David Dingwall?
This is a matter of law. It is not a matter of political discretion. And the government will pay to Mr. Dingwall only what it is legally required to pay and not a penny more.
You know, David Dingwall's already gotten money for nothing and his chiclets for free. And now the Prime Minister is offering Dingwall a fat severance as a final perk for his short stint at the Mint. But the fact of the matter is we have accessed his remunerations agreement. We know it clearly establishes there is no obligation on the part of the government whatsoever. This is purely discretionary. Will the Prime Minister admit that this severance package is nothing but a pathetic Liberal damage control deal?
Honourable Minister of National Revenue.
Speaker, the honourable member must have written that question before I gave my answer, and he did not make any change, because as I just explained seconds before he stood up, this is a matter of law. The government will pay the minimum that is required to pay under the law, and to the extent that independent investigation demonstrates that Mr. Dingwall made charges inappropriately, the government will retrieve those funds dollar for dollar.
The member obviously didn't hear my answer. I'm asking him to prove his prudence with Andre Ouellette. He tries to spin this as normal. This is not normal. David Dingwall resigned. This is not standard. If it's not negotiated in your agreement, tough luck. And it's not fair. David Dingwall jumped out of the Liberal patronage plane, and Canadians don't deserve to pay for a golden parachute. In fact, they'd rather see him land without a parachute. Are these people so far up the ivory tower that they can no longer see the ground where Canadians live, where they work, where they pay taxes?
Speaker, I can only repeat what I've now said 3 times, that the government will pay to Mr. Dingwall a severance that is the minimum required by law. This side of the House, we do believe in the rule of law. We do believe in a rules-based system. My colleague at the Treasury Board has been working to improve those rules and has had great success. So Mr. Dingwall will receive the minimum that is required by law.
Mr. McCallum, you referred to a law that requires a severance package. What law are you talking about? You said it was a matter of law.
The government will be receiving advice from legal counsel as to what is the minimum that the law requires, and then the government will certainly not pay, and will not pay more than that. We are going to get advice from the legal counsel, and we va prendre le conseil the legal minimum.
No, you said it's the law.
According to the law, whether it is the common law or a written law, this is the matter on which the government will take advice from its counsel.
I talked to 3 employment lawyers today, and they all said there is no such requirement in law to pay someone severance if they quit. What is the basis that you talk about?
We shall have to await the advice from the lawyers. There may be...
If this was law, it was not government discretion.
Exactly. What I said in the House, that we will take the advice of the government lawyer.
No, you didn't say that.
As a matter of law, we will pay the minimum required by law, and it is up to the government lawyer to give that advice.
Severance if they quit.
There are two. I am not a lawyer, but I do know that some things are written in laws and other things are required by law according to the common law, as established in the courts over time. That is the British system, which we have in Canada. And I'm telling you that the government will take advice from legal counsel and will not pay more than the minimum required.
Mr. McCallum, why would he only be entitled to the minimum? Is that a reflection of certain things that have or haven't happened at the Mint? Why the minimum?
C'est ça qu'on a décidé, je pense.
This is what we decided.
The government has, I have said at least 5 times that this is a matter of law, and today I clarified that by going further and saying he will receive the minimum required by law, and that is the government decision.
Why would you only give him the minimum?
That is the decision of the government.
Why?
Based on why? Why only the minimum? Why not the median,
Why
the
is he getting
maximum?
severance pay at all?
Why not give him nothing?
What's it based on?
Well, I think the government has come to the conclusion that that's the appropriate amount that he should receive.
Why?
Is he at fault?
Based on what?
We will see whether he's at fault.
Are you aware of any rule that requires the government to pay severance?
No, I'm not aware of any rule, although at the rate that the government's going, I'm inclined to believe they may make something up on this. There is no legality behind paying David Dingwall severance. There is no obligation on the part of the government here, and certainly in terms of the contract that he negotiated with the government to be the CEO and president of the Mint, obtained a copy of the contract itself, and there is no reference to severance in that contract. So it's clear that this offering of severance is strictly at the discretion of the Prime Minister. If he wants to add insult to injury, he can pay Dingwall some severance. Otherwise, there is no reason to pay.
Mr. McCallum was talking about common law, that there might be something in common law that requires it.
What is common law? Can anyone define that for me? Because if they can, yeah. What tradition is there? There is no tradition here. Look, David Dingwall jumped out of the Liberal patronage plane, okay? And for the taxpayers to have to buy his golden parachute when they'd rather just see him land without assistance of a parachute, I think is ridiculous. The man quit. This is not about severance. There is no legal case to be made that he deserves to be given severance. He resigned. He quit. And there is nothing in the contract he negotiated with the Liberal government, as generous as it is, that says that insult should be added to injury and he should also get severance. I've got a copy of the contract right here. I obtained it through Access, this is the statement. It's a complete statement of his remuneration and benefits. There is no reference, and there are 36 categories of benefits. There is nothing in here at all about severance. And look, I used to work in executive compensation. If you don't negotiate it at the start, don't expect to receive it at the end. If you're going to get something at the end, it's purely as a result of a discretionary decision made by management. In this case, the management is Paul Martin. And if he decides to choose David Dingwall over the taxpayers of this country, I submit to you he's making a big mistake. Well, there's clearly some deal that's at work here. I mean, if Dingwall was forced out, then he has a case, I suppose, that he would be entitled to severance. But no one's owning up to that. The Prime Minister, I don't understand why he's not accepting the responsibility of leadership and saying, I take your numbers and the problems with this lobbying activity seriously, and I've asked David Dingwall to resign. In that case, there'd have to be negotiated severance. But
what kind of deal are you talking about? There must be some kind of deal.
Well, I'm saying there's no legal obligation on the part of the government, no moral obligation.
You seem to have some idea about why they would want to pay him severance pay, even though they don't have to.
Well, I think there's
Martin told him and said, "Quit, I'll take care of you."
I have my suspicions, though I have no proof of that. But I do understand that this is not without precedent. Other members have left. Other members have received certain benefits and advantages. Look, it's been a full year this week since Andre Ouellette, for example, resigned. And a full year since the minister, the same minister, John McCallum, promised us all that an audit would get to the bottom of everything. Well, a year later, I've got access to information and order paper question documents that can verify that the government has not done its work on this file at all.